My only sister is an extreme anti-vaccine, anti-mask, anti-government person. Fine, to each their own. I have 3 kids, 2 biological and 1 stepson. My sister decided to befriend my stepson's mother, my husband's ex, so her son, my nephew, and my son could hang out more. Also, because my husband's ex shares my sister's views and is part of the Freedom anti-mask rally in our city and province. She started with the occasional hangout, and now it's a weekly thing. My city has recently implemented restrictions to only seeing people in your household. Therefore, we could not spend Christmas with my mom. Dad passed away, my sister, her husband, and my nephew. My father-in-law has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, so we are trying our best not to get virus. My mom has decided to do 2 separate Christmases, one with us and one with my sister's family. My mom broke down crying yesterday and confessed that she had her Christmas with my sister already. Only my husband's ex and my stepson were invited, and they did a big Christmas with them, without us, behind our backs. When I confronted my sister with how much this hurt my feelings, she said too bad. She's tried to get together with us and couldn't, so blame the government. Apparently, the government has a say in her inviting my husband's ex and my stepson to a family Christmas, breaking rule restrictions that we couldn't be involved in. She has no remorse. She tells me that my husband's ex is more important to her, and if she didn't have her as a friend, I could never fill that void. She is the most selfish person I have ever met and truly only cares about herself and her needs. What advice are you looking for here? Your sister is a crappy, selfish person, and more than one aspect. Personally, I take a long break from contact with her, but how you choose to react, if at all, is up to you and what outcome you want. With the way she is as a person, I highly doubt any realistic outcome will be the one you want, i.e., wanting a very close relationship with your sister that surpasses that of the one she has with your husband's ex. Anyway, I'm sorry your sister sucks. Tell your sister she's full of crap. She knows it's ducked up because she did it in secret. She wants to sneak around celebrating holidays with your husband's ex. She can't then pretend that it isn't weird. She knows it's wrong. Your mom knows it's wrong because she was in ducking tears that she was put in this position. If she wants to be in love with your husband's ex, then you need to cut your sister off. She's made a choice, and now you get to make your own. To start, this is about inheritance. My father died nearly 10 years ago. He left no money to his daughters, but his will says that if our mom sells the house, that the money from that should be split equally between my 2 sisters and me, after mom has bought herself somewhere. The house is worth £1 million at least. Now, there are 3 sisters. One has 2 houses already. The other 2 have no houses at all. The one with 2 houses says she can raise £600,000 to buy the house from Mom. Mom would buy somewhere outright with £400,000, and I think keep some cash for a rainy day fund, which we all think is right, and give £90,000 to each sister with no houses for deposits. These are good deposits and will be very helpful. But if Mom sold the house at market value, the amount each sister with no house would get is much more. Am I the a-hole for pointing out that this isn't a fair split? I've suggested that the sister buying the house pays rent to Mom on the remaining percentage of the home that she hasn't bought. The sister wanting to buy the house ambushed me yesterday. I had a day off, no child, just a day off for me. I never get time on my own, and it's been really stressful recently. So I was really looking forward to having a day to get back into a hobby I gave up 6 years ago when I had my son. But no. Sister asks if we can go out for coffee. Turns out, she's driving me 30 miles away to the house so we can all sit down to discuss her master plan. On the way home, we hit traffic, and I couldn't take her chastising me for not being grateful for the £90,000. I am grateful, but I'm also aware that the haves is asking the have-nots to subsidize her lifestyle and is now asking us to be happy and grateful for it as well. It pissed me off enormously, and I got out of the car and have blocked her on everything. I think she's asking me to give her something I can't afford to give. Am I the a-hole for saying the arrangement on the table isn't fair? Should I be grateful for my sister for saving the house from strangers? Or have I got it all wrong and it is a fair arrangement after all? Am I the a-hole for blocking my sister after she said I should stop focusing on what I'm not getting and focus on what I am getting, 90,000 pounds. Hang on. Your sister wants to buy the house for 400,000 pounds below market value, so she's basically being gifted that money, yet you only get 90,000 pounds? Bit of a difference between those two figures. Your sister is a con artist. Stand your ground and sell the house for market value and then split the profits according to the will. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your sister is trying to cheat you. How important is it to save the house from strangers? Because if sold for market value, it sounds like you'd all come away with closer to 200K each. If she only pays 600K, she gets 400K worth of equity, while you get 90K. Not the a-hole. Why should your sister get what is basically a 400,000 pound gift for getting it that much below market value, while you only get 90,000 pounds? I was made to feel greedy when I pointed this out, like I'm trying to grab as much cash as I can, and sister is saving the house. When Dad was dying, she and her husband basically cut everyone else out. Her husband tried to stop me going in to see Dad. He's too tired now, but he wasn't too tired for the husband to go in the room for a chat. It's taken me this long to forgive them for that, and now this. It's an emotional issue as much as anything else, I think, for all of us. 90,000 pounds is a lot of money, and I'm not suggesting it's not a great first-time buyer deposit. It is, but it's not as much as the equity she'd get for free. She says I'm the greedy one in all of this. I think that's what has pissed me off the most, really, that she's going to try to paint me as a money-grabbing jerk because I think it should be split equally. Edit for additional context. Sister with 2 houses will have to sell both houses to raise the 600,000 pounds. Her plan is to turn the old outhouses, old stable and old cobbler shop, we find shoe heels in the garden all the time, into holiday lets for income. Mom wants to move on. She's ready to do that, and I'm happy for her to do so. The one thing we do all agree on is that Mom should buy herself a home without a mortgage, somewhere that's hers. She said she wants a new build. Her friend has just moved to one, and apparently it's lovely and warm. Other sister's on a low income and is a single mom. I'm not just standing up for my interests here, but hers as well. She is very bright, but doesn't understand all of this, and until I pointed out the equity gift Mom would effectively be giving 2 houses sis, she thought it was a fantastic idea for us all. We all have children. I have 1, other sis has 1, and 2 houses sis has 4. Apparently, we're trying to do her children out of a family home. I think what has upset me so much is that it's the painting herself as the victim in this. She's apparently making great sacrifices to sell her 2 houses in order to save the family home and keep it in the family. Except it's not being kept in the family. It's being kept in her family. Me and my other sister would have 0 claim on it. If she had the full market value to spend on it, I'd be absolutely delighted by this arrangement. A bit concerned that she'd be taking on too much because the upkeep on the house is expensive, but not enough to try and talk her out of it. As it stands, it seems like a bit of a crappy deal for me and my other sister. I, 49 male, am happily married to my wife of 24 years, 49 female, and have a daughter, 22 female. My wife and I are both Hindus, growing up in very religious families, which we tried to carry on at home with our daughter. When my daughter entered her high school years, she decided to convert to Islam. Although we didn't 100% approve of her decision, we supported her through her conversion process. She decided to keep her Hindu name, although she went to the mosque on Fridays, and refrained from eating pork. When she went off to college, we kept close contact with her, talking with her as often as possible. About a month ago, she legally changed her name from Devi to Fatima without telling us. Naturally, my wife and I were disappointed, but we spoke to her where she explained that she simply wanted to fit in with her Muslim friends and community, which was fine. A short while later, she told us that she actually changed her name so that she would be accepted by her new boyfriend's ultra-conservative Muslim family. My wife and I were previously blinded of the circumstances that caused her to change her name, or even the fact that she had a boyfriend. She explained that her boyfriend, Salim, came from a very strict and conservative Muslim family, still living in India. She said that she was serious with him, and he had asked her to marry him, which she agreed, all while leaving us in the dark. Following the Indian custom, that the parents of the bride and groom meet to decide the conditions and details for the wedding. Salim's parents flew from India to meet us. This is when my daughter decided to tell us that she had lied to her boyfriend's parents, telling them that my wife and I were Muslims as well. She asked us to move all our Hindu idols, pictures, and anything Hindu from our home into a closet where her boyfriend's parents couldn't tell that we were heretics, as she said. She also asked my wife to remove her bindi from her forehead, which is considered a grave insult in our culture. My wife and I flat out refused to follow through with her request, stating that we wanted to see her happy, but hiding our beliefs and our faith wasn't the right way. She got very angry and called us unsupporting and unreasonable, and promptly left home. She canceled the meeting and moved in with her boyfriend, who also expressed his anger and frustration at us. She still refuses to tell her in-laws the full situation and has cut off all ties to us and other family members. Doing what she did is a fundamental slap in the face. It's her lie. Let her deal with it. You did nothing wrong. I'd wait her out. From a Muslim perspective, there are so many things wrong with this situation, but mostly, I'm so sorry that you were such great parents and this is how she treats you. Starting with seriously weird things. Moved in with her boyfriend. Firstly, if he was such a strict Muslim dude, he wouldn't be dating in the first place. Secondly, it's against Islamic rules for unmarried couples to live together. Making your daughter change her name to appease his parents, and also making you guys pretend you're Muslims, are huge red flags. I'm sorry, but it appears that this man is taking advantage of your daughter. He sounds controlling, manipulative, and abusive. I'd suggest getting a hold of the local imam near you. Bring up all these things they've done, like making you guys pretend to be Muslim and then making her live with him. Ask an imam to change her mind about marrying this guy. I can't give many details because I can't have this traced back to me. I am also aware that this is more than likely not the best place to ask this, but I have no one to ask in real life. I've spent the last month debating the pros and cons of this, so I am turning to the internet in hopes I can use any advice given to get my thoughts straight. I've spent a while in a relationship with someone I should never have been in a relationship with. He's not a celebrity, but he has a reputation that it's important he protect, and is making a very cushy living based on this reputation. I know it is a bad idea to get involved with him, but it's happened now, and the end result is that I'm pregnant. My first option was to A, but he convinced me not to, saying he would look after me and the baby, and he loved us both. Then, once I was past the deadline for A, he said that was all BS, and he never had any intention of looking after us, but he couldn't allow an A due to his reputation, because people know that we know each other, and just the news that I had an A would cause issues for him, and that's without the additional detail that it was his child. He's now offered me money, and it's a lot. Several years of salary for me, all paid in one lump sum. It's not early retirement money, but it could buy me a house, outright, no mortgage, and still have money to make a sizable trust fund for my child, and a comfortable emergency fund for me. The money is mine on the condition that I don't make him do anything. That means no signing the birth certificate, no custody, and no child support. I take the cash and leave him alone for the next 18 years. He says when the child is an adult, I can give them his name, but he can't make any promises. He'd also prefer if I moved away from here with this money. He said something about legalities, but I'm not sure if this is a legally enforceable situation. If a contract could be created that would be enforceable in a court of law, any other legal elements that could factor in here, or if the talk of legalities was all BS, meant to sway me one way or the other. Emotionally, I'm a wreck. I've started therapy, and that is helping a lot, but I can't even talk to my therapist about this situation because I'm worried about the potential legalities of it. I only have one sibling I'm still in contact with. I don't speak to my parents, and don't have a lot of friends, so there's not much holding me here. I can afford this baby without the money, or with court-ordered child support, but this is still a lot of money, probably more than I'll make the whole decade combined. However, I feel like I'm being bought, and I hate this feeling, and I don't want my child to resent me when they turn 18 for hiding who their father is, or even how I'd approach dealing with questions about their father for 18 years. But I also don't want to let my pride get in the way of giving my child the stability I never had as a kid. I could always go the legal route, have the baby, and get him on the birth certificate and paying child support. But that would become public record and would ruin my ex's life. And he's the type to try to get full custody out of self-preservation or spite. And with the legal representation he can afford, he would win. I can't adopt out the baby before anyone suggests it, because I've spent months bonding with my child and can't imagine giving them up at this stage. What do? Do I take the money and leave my ex out of this? Should I stick with the legal route and let the courts decide? If I did take this money, what do I tell my child when they ask about their father? Talk to an attorney. Get child support set up once the baby's here. He's already lied to you once. Why would this promise of money be any different? You can talk to your therapist about this, as you have doctor-patient confidentiality. You should also look for a lawyer to speak with that specializes in this area. You'll have lawyer-client privilege with them. They will almost certainly advise you that the chances of him winning custody will be very low, unless there's something about you that would make you unfit to be a mother, which doesn't seem to be the case. In the meantime, you should save all correspondence with him, including evidence of his abject behavior. You should put consideration for your ex out of the picture. Any negatives he experiences will be his fault and well-deserved. Personally, I'd suggest getting him on the birth certificate and getting child support. But you ought to talk to professionals about the best option. A lawyer may be able to negotiate with his lawyer for a more substantial hush money package, for example. Don't be afraid to expose him if he starts threatening you further.